Are you trying to generate business-to-business leads without any luck? Or are you just starting to try and generate business-to-business leads and not quite sure where to start? In this video, what I'm going to do is go through a very simple yet highly successful B2B strategy and funnel. You don't need any prior tech skills or knowledge, but what you do need to know is the knowledge of your customer, and I'm going to help you with that, going through entrepreneurs, small business owners, and executives. So I'm pretty much catering for all of the market in that B2B space, for all the majority of it at the very least. So sit back and enjoy this tutorial as we go through how to generate very simple, cost-effective, and good B2B leads. Just before we get into the video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button or like button if you find the content helpful and you want to see more like this. That will tremendously help you generate more B2B leads and just help your digital marketing across the board. So I would really hope that does help within the YouTube algorithm. So here we are at my computer. Now what we want to go through is a really in-depth overview of the funnel, but more importantly, how to execute the funnel for your business, no matter what kind of service or product you're selling in the B2B space. Now, it's my firm belief that the majority of people go about their marketing in the wrong way, and I think that you'll come around to my rationality of thinking because, well, it's proven results for one way to put it, but also it just makes complete logical sense. Now, I'm on the firm belief that there's not a huge amount of difference in the B2C and B2B market. People are people. And the psychology of people has not changed a great deal, over the past, couple of hundred years. Pretty much you can go back to the scientific revolution. That's when, culturally things started to change, but psychologically it's been thousands of years. So with that being said, I believe that the biggest difference between B2C and B2B is the relationship and the length and the quality and what it takes to build that relationship. Essentially, people buy from people. Never have the words been, uttered that, this guy's a complete son of a bitch, but what a fantastic business and a fantastic product, fantastic, That just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. People buy from people that they like, respect. So that's what you want to kind of get across and cultivate within your marketing. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do in this video. The other really good aspect of this kind of strategy and funnel is that you do not need to be constantly churning out content. Everybody hates that. I hate that. My clients hate that. No one, well, there are some people that certainly do, but the majority of people just do not want to be producing constant content all the time. They want to be doing the work for their clients and also bringing in new business. Even though their content does bring in new business, it's just not one of those core competent kind of skills that people are born to do, or it's easy to learn. Coming up with new ideas, developing the content, editing the content, so on and so forth. This strategy severely cuts down on that, which is, everyone's probably happy with that. I most certainly am, that's for sure. Now, when it comes to marketing in the B2B space, and this also applies to B2C, of course, is that it's a lot like marriage and dating. Now, when it comes to marriage or dating, you do not engage in a first date and ask the person for marriage on the first date. It doesn't matter which way you want to skin that cat, it is not going to work. Now, business, especially B2B, is a lot like this. People do not want to make decisions based on the first point of contact. There's a whole plethora of reasons why. They don't know you. They don't know if the product's going to work for them. They don't know if it's right for them. They don't have any proof or credibility in and around the product or service. You get the idea. So what you want to do is create a system or a strategy or a funnel that cultivates that relationship. It forces, in a nice way, the person to go through a first date, a second date, a third date in a really targeted and cheap manner in order for them to gain that knowledge, to see that proof, that credibility, to know that the product or service is right for them. It makes the selling process after the lead has been generated so much easier to sell because they're more knowledgeable, they've seen more proof, so on and so forth. So that becomes so much better in so many different ways because it's less man time to be able to sell someone. So how do we actually create this kind of strategy? It's very, very simple, and what you can see on my screen here is we'll quickly go through this strategy very quickly. And I'll show you how it applies to the dating scene. So essentially, traffic sources, I really don't care where traffic comes from. The only caveat I have to that is that you really do want to be, hunting or, getting traffic from where your ideal prospects hang out. Now, if that's Facebook, if that's Reddit, is that Twitter, is that LinkedIn, is that Google Ads, is that search engine optimization? It doesn't really matter. Traffic is traffic, but there is different levels of motivations within traffic. People are definitely more motivated in some areas as opposed to others. You want to be hunting where the majority of your ideal prospects are hanging out. Now, wherever that is, it doesn't really matter. But moving on, creating awareness. This is very much like the first date. Now, I'm going to get into these elements much more specifically, how to execute them, so on and so forth. But in the awareness stage, it's about getting the attention of that person, at a bar, at a club, at a cafe, etc. Out for dinner with friends, and you want to get the attention of a potential partner, spouse, etc. This is what this stage is. How do I capture the attention of my ideal prospects? You're not trying to cater for everyone. You can create different content pieces for different segments of your market. So trying to capture attention and awareness at the awareness stage. Moving through to interest and evaluation. Here, this is second, third, fourth, fifth date. Very important, because this is where we're starting to deliver the messages of, is this product or service right for you? How does it work? What does this kind of business relationship work? What is the kind of support and warranty or things of that nature? Any guarantees, proof, credibility, etc. You get the idea. This is how you can create. This is where you create different content pieces, to lead people through that third, fourth, fifth date, etc. Before you ask, essentially for marriage or the sale, the consultation, and we'll get into the offer as we see down the bottom. There's a whole deep heap of different types of offers, audits, etc. But essentially, this is where we ask for marriage. We've built up enough rapport, we've transferred enough knowledge, credibility, proof, etc. to be able to ask this ideal prospect, who's now knowledgeable enough to make a decision, hey, this is the offer, do you accept? Not like that, but you get the idea. So let's get into the actual prospects really quickly. So first and foremost, one that brings a smile to my face, and that's entrepreneurs. These guys are the most enjoyable, but also the hardest people to work with. They're very fast moving. So here's some information that I've been able to put together over my years dealing with entrepreneurs. I'm going to get onto executives and small business owners. They're all subtly different, but there's a lot of crossovers. That's why this slide for entrepreneurs is a little bit larger than the rest. So with entrepreneurs, they have some of the biggest egos in all society. Now, you've probably seen this if you work with them, or you probably having a little chuckle to yourself if you are an entrepreneur. You probably get this at some level. Now, it does, obviously change with, person to person. But in general, the rule of thumb is that they do definitely have big, egos. With your marketing and your sales, you definitely want to be, positive and enthusiastic. You don't want to be boring. These guys are fast paced. They're like headless chickens in a way. Their attention span, moves really quickly from one thing to the other. So definitely don't want to be boring. They like people to think that they know the real score, that they're knowledgeable, that they've got their kind of like finger, but more than just a finger. They've got a couple of fingers in every kind of pie. They know a lot about. They know a little about a lot of different things. So you kind of want to appeal to that. You don't want to be this is how you do things. You don't want to be talking like down to them or like lecturing, teaching them. You're probably like I am doing in this video. Don't judge me, entrepreneurs. But I'm trying to give you an idea of what to do in a nice way. You want to appeal to their status. They're highly status orientated people typically. You also want to appeal to how you can help them financially. They're always worried about keeping up with the Joneses. But more importantly, in fact, like they want to not only keep up with the Joneses, but they want to be driving that $100,000 sports car, with their finger up at everyone around them, etc., proving that to everyone just how high their status is. And you've probably seen this. You've got people on YouTube that produce videos with their Porsches, their Lamborghinis, their private jets, etc., because they're appealing to this entrepreneurial kind of based segment of that biz op market, which is perfectly fine. And I'm not one to cater for that. I hope that the knowledge that I transfer onto my audience gets the point across that I don't need that type of stuff for the wrong reasons, in my opinion. So, I've gone down a different route, but the smart play is definitely to show off, that lifestyle and that status level of things. I'm just not that type of person, more introverted. So that's definitely not going to fit into, my wheelhouse, so to speak. Moving on to executives, though, they're somewhat similar to entrepreneurs, but they definitely love leadership from experts. So the perception that you are an expert is very, very important, especially when they don't know the product or service all that well. They want to be led because they lead all day. People paint this in the movies, etc. But it is true. They definitely want to lead. The CEOs, boards that I have to deal with, they want to be led. They look to me for advice in where to steer the ship. Mostly around marketing, of course, because that's my core competency. HR and stuff definitely don't come for me for that. I'm awful with that kind of stuff. But they want me to steer that ship for them, and I understand that at some level because they're forever steering their teams, their company, their subsidiaries or their stakeholders. They don't want to be leading all the time. It's very tiring, especially for me as an introvert. I hate to be leading all day. Even half the day is tiring. I need an afternoon nap. But moving on, you definitely want to appeal to their ego, but in a more subtle and slightly indirect way, because these guys are slightly more intelligent than the majority of society. That's probably not the nicest way to put things, but probably someone might say something that I'm being discriminatory or something like that, discriminative, but that is just unfortunately the case. There's no nice way to say it, but that is the case. So be very subtle in the way that you stroke their ego, because they are slightly more intelligent, and don't overdo it, that's for sure. Small business owners, very similar to entrepreneurs. It's not as similar to executives. So a lot of similarities between entrepreneurs and business owners, but there are some key kind of differences. They're not as open-minded. Once they make a decision, they stick to it, and they will kind of like fight almost to stick to it. It's very hard to change their beliefs. Entrepreneur, much more open-minded, will change if they see, most of the time they will change if they see, a reasonable amount of proof, or, somewhat that something is not right, or something is more correct in a different space. You definitely want to be positive, enthusiastic. That goes for all three of these kind of, B2B kind of segments of the market. You definitely want to be professional, same as with the executive. Definitely be professional. Don't want to be rocking up, just in a t-shirt for a sales presentation. They want to meet people, that are like them or slightly better than them, for instance. They definitely do have an ego and a status oriented, but nowhere near as much as the entrepreneurial kind of person. Definitely be respectful and stroke their ego in an indirect way, very similar to the executive, and be very respectful of their accomplishments in building their business, etc., their product, their service, and what have you. So, that kind of will help you with your messaging. The messaging is very important. The traffic sources and getting traffic is very easy. You can buy traffic, but the messaging is very, very important. So hopefully these like little guidelines or tips will help you, create a message that appeals to the market, that is most responsive to your product or service. So getting into content research and also the awareness stage, getting the attention of that potential spouse or that ideal prospect. Now what we're trying to do here is create a piece of content. I'm going to show you how to research that piece of content, but what are you looking for in a piece of content? You're trying to fix a problem, a core problem for your ideal prospects only, not the general market. So for instance, like you'd want to be shooting fish in a barrel, not shooting fish in an Olympic-sized swimming pool, and certainly not trying to fish in in an ocean. Now what I mean by that is niching down within your industry to create different messages. So you might be appealing to professionals, that you have some form of service or product that is perfect for professionals. You want to create a message for doctors, chiropractors, dentists, they're all in that medical field. Then you've got potentially like accountants, business kind of coaches, business mentors, etc. You got accountants, tax planning, etc. All those types of people in another field. So you can create another kind of piece of content to capture them. So that's what I mean by ideal prospects. Much of the content will be the same, so 80%, and you're just trying to, in most parts, so you've got a product or service, and 80% of it is the same for every type of person that is applicable for the product or service. You're just trying to make it look more applicable to that potential market. So an instance for that is blue block or sunglasses. This is B2C, but it's one of the best ways that I learned this principle. Blue blocker sunglasses, you've seen them before in the movie The Hangover. The Wolfpack gentleman that is the lunatic with the beard. Should have looked that up before I decided to go on this little tangent, but you get the idea. He starts the Wolfpack. He wears the blue blocker sunglasses. So the reason why I'm saying that is that they were B2C. They wanted to actually go and tackle the market of pilots because the technology in them with glare and lighting up at dusk and stuff is fantastic for pilots. They couldn't sell them to pilots. They had the same price point, but when they said they created a slightly different model, same technology, nothing else changes, doubled the price, new model, specifically for pilots. Pilots ate them up like crazy. So that's what I mean by just subtly changing things to appeal to a new market. So moving on from that, trying to filter out non-ideal prospects, appeal to the cream, not trying to appeal to the majority. So I've already touched upon that point. This is a little bit like speed dating. You're not trying to appeal to everyone here. Again, just trying to reinforce that niching down, appealing to that ideal kind of prospect is really, really important. So another kind of example is you don't want to be how small businesses can generate leads and double their revenue kind of thing. A better way is how construction companies and contractors under 10 million per year in revenue can double their revenue in 9 months. There's much more specific. We're calling out construction companies, contractors. We're even being more specific. Under 10 million in revenue, we can double the revenue. Specific benefit there, and we've got a time frame 9 months. So it's just much more specific. It's much more relevant. People can say, "That's me. I'm a contractor. I do under 10 million. I want to double my revenue. This content could be for me." So that's the general kind of feel. Like obviously that headline isn't content based in some ways, but perhaps you want to say double in Facebook. Completely a relevant example, but maybe not relevant for you. But you get the principle. Think of marketing as what does my ideal prospect need to know in order to complete my objective. So you don't want to be really too broad in this. So if I'm working with construction companies and contractors, hypothetically, I don't want to be offering something like the top 10 office printers. Yes, they will use office printers, but it's not really applicable to my service. So make sure that there's a logical connection that's relevant to your product or service that connects to your ideal prospect. So pretty simple, but how do we research this stuff? So we have a couple of tools here. We've got Ahrefs, we've got YouTube, we've got Facebook groups, Answer the Public, and Reddit. Now, YouTube, what I like to do with YouTube is pretty simple, and is go to YouTube and just type in something that's relevant. We'll stick with the contractor and construction company kind of area. So what I would do is go to YouTube. So here we are at YouTube, and what I would do is type in marketing for contractors. So we can see a couple of videos here, and this idiot here that has no idea what he's talking about has showed up in the third spot. So nonetheless, we'll brush past him, and what we'll do is we'll see a couple of people producing content around marketing for contractors or construction companies or your industry. Or you type in keywords that are relevant to your product and service, of course. So we've got Contractor Fight. Now, what we can do is come here to his channel. We've got 16 subscribers, which is a pretty decent amount considering the small nature of this kind of industry. And what we would do is I like to come over and say, well, he's producing content specifically for contractors. Hypothetically, that's what I'm going after. And what are his most popular pieces of content? Now, what we can see here is how to make more money as a contractor, contractor business tips, mindset. These are all applicable. Contractor business tips, how to ask dumb questions, something around that. Demand, etc. How to estimate, how to generate more leads. So this is really important because now what we can do is start to collect the most relevant, watch them, take the best key points out of them, and reproduce that content in a far better way, whether it be a video, article, whatever you kind of feel like is the best for your skill set or your want, what you want to do in order to produce content. Now, there's a website here called answerthepublic.com, which is a fantastic brainstorming kind of area. And what we want to do here is the same kind of thing. We've got marketing for contractors, and we will see a whole host of different, you can use this for free as well. So I'm not using the paid version here. This is purely using the free version. So once it loads, it takes a little bit of time. So we start to see some mind maps or some kind of like keywords when we don't really want to be going through that. Now what we can come here, what we can do now is scroll down and start to see related keywords or topics that people are interested in around the phrase that are inputted up the top here, wherever it is, marketing for contractors. So we can come down here and say digital marketing for contractors. I can make content around that. Marketing for general contractors, marketing ideas, slightly different keyword. So we've definitely got some decent ideas. Marketing strategies is subtly different. So these are keyword, Facebook marketing for contractors here. So definitely some ideas, and we can change that keyword phrase at the top in numerous different ways in order to get different keywords and topics, etc. So this is definitely another option in order to build out content ideas really quickly. So you literally spend 5 minutes here just going through, and you'll have probably 10 to 15 ideas really quickly. If you want to spend 30 minutes and start to put in different keywords, you come up with literally over 50 in just half an hour's of time. So this is a paid tool, Ahrefs, and I've come to the Content Explorer. And what I want to do here, again, is just marketing for, let's say, construction this time, just to change things up radically. No, this time we've gone for marketing for construction. Doesn't really change, all too much, and you can change the keyword to different permutations as often as you like, of course. But this is a paid tool, as I mentioned. But what we can do is start to see that both the content, the traffic numbers, for trends over the past 6 months, 3 years, etc. So we'll just go past 6 months. We'll sort by Facebook shares, for instance. So what types of content are doing well on Facebook, and a lot of this is going to be irrelevant when you start to optimize by Facebook shares. So you can get down to that level of granularity or specificity in order of Facebook shares or Pinterest, Twitter, etc. Total shares, etc. If you're after search engine optimization, you definitely want to go after organic traffic. So this is a proposal. So you could start to make the link here, like construction proposal template could be a fantastic kind of keyword phrase or potential content topic to target for this client base. So I've merged this unrelated topic to my hypothetical target niche construction. So you get the idea of how to merge these together. Now I'm not going to go through the last couple because they're very similar to YouTube and Ahrefs and Answer the Public, and that's just going to Facebook groups, typing in and trying to find groups that are relevant, getting added to the groups, and going through the questions that people are answering, seeing the answers. What are the common questions or common themes of questions? Can you create content for them? Reddit, pretty much the same thing. Just don't get distracted by Reddit and all the fantastic content that is completely unrelated and just a rabbit hole of curiosity. I get stuck there for 10-15 minutes without even trying at times. So we're moving into the evaluation and interest level now. So what we have here is a whole plethora of different ways to get that second, third, fourth, fifth, seventh date going, those marketing touch points, building that relationship, conveying that knowledge, proof, credibility, so on and so forth. So in this stage, we want to go back to what does my ideal prospect need to know in order to complete my objective. So it's kind of like, I like to think of it like an argument, like you're going to court in a way, it's like a criminal case. And what do I need to say to convince the jury, who are my ideal prospects, in order to allow them to make the best decision to say, yes, this is right for me, no, this is wrong for me. So because you're not trying to appeal to everyone, as I mentioned. So I like to think of it in that way. So what kind of information do I need to get across to get people to say, yes, this is the right product or right service for me, this is the right business to do business with. That's what you kind of want to do. Again, some helpful tips here, the types of content, webinar, video, checklists, lead magnets, case studies, success stories, audit surveys. These types of things can be tremendously helpful to not only narrow down on the niche and the segments of market that you're appealing to, but also to convey that knowledge, that proof, etc. You get the idea. Some other kind of helpful tips are, provide helpful content. It's not, we're not talking about, we are the best in, whatever business, we've been in business for 180 odd years, etc. People want to know about them. The word you will get this, people are self-interest based in the B2B space and the B2C space. You need to appeal to that. So helpful content, construction, Google Ads checklist could be helpful for, keep going with that theme of construction contractors. Case studies, contractor and construction case studies, success stories, etc. Survey or audit. Do you have these problems? Do you have problems, with your office printer, your CRM, your Google Ads, lead generation, trying to cover a couple of different bases there. That kind of content continues to nurture. You can include success stories in with those as well. So, this type of stuff is, really important. You can't gloss over, the dates. It's really, really important. So, for instance, marketing contractor audit, videos, webinars, videos like this one I'm producing for you could be highly desirable by your ideal prospects. Email opt-ins, and these need to be multiple steps. Remarketing is hugely important. So, making sure that people are engaging with the content. Perhaps they didn't engage with it this time, show it to them again. Make sure that they are seeing this in multiple ways, shapes and forms, that and the remarketing sequence is forcing people down, this relationship path. So people that see the awareness base are definitely seeing the second date, the third date, the fourth date, the people that see the first piece of content might not like the second piece. So make sure that the third piece is also shown to the awareness stage. I know that sounds complicated, but that's how it has to be in some ways. It's not that complicated, it just sounds complicated. Believe me, these things are very, very simple. If you're not quite sure how to set up remarketing within Facebook, I've got a video, the link will pop up somewhere around here. You can watch that video, I'll show you how to set up the Facebook remarketing. It doesn't take very long at all. So, we've got through the evaluation and interest stage. Now we have the offer. This is time when we ask for marriage. This is the fun time now. This is where the money is. So, again, different types of offers. It really just is dependent upon what your business is and the product and the service that you have to offer. It can be audits, introductory offers, discounts, free trials, paid trials, product demonstrations, consultations, plus a ton more. It really is self-dependent upon the product and service that you have. But you want to make sure that you've got different types of offers. So, a consultation, a product demonstration, a webinar, an audit, these are all different, and you can frame them in a different way and show them to the same prospect. Some people might think that, the free introductory offer, not really for them because I don't know exactly how the product works. Would you like a demonstration? Oh yeah, I want to see if it works for me. I want to see if this CRM works for me. I want to see if what you know about Google Ads is true. Look over my account and poke holes in it and show me, etc. It could be just a typical sales consultation. That could be the best offer that works for you. Who knows? Free trial goes without saying why that's a benefit, but you get the idea. Think about a couple of different offers and how you can pitch that offer throughout the actual kind of dating process, that marketing kind of funnel sequence kind of thing, because people are ready at different stages. So if you're in the selling business, you've probably had this before where perhaps you've oversold someone and they decide to say no. They were ready to buy. They had almost the wallet out, they had the credit card out, they were ready to pay the invoice, and you've talked them out of the job. So that's the reason. Different offers for different stages of the funnel. So I hope that kind of makes sense. Probably one of the best things that you can do in order to increase the number of B2B leads that you get is to smash that subscribe button or that like button. If you found this video helpful and you want further information on how to generate B2B leads and improve your digital marketing across the board, is subscribe and like this video. The likes definitely do help the YouTube algorithm get my videos to get a little bit more views and rankings, etc. So that's tremendously helpful. But it goes with that being said, back to somewhat serious nature of this video is that B2B is a little bit tricky. I think everyone understands that, and digital marketing is a little bit tricky. So if you want to have a chat with me, it's completely free, no selling, no obligation. I really do enjoy them because I love to hear people's stories, their challenges, their successes. I learn from that kind of stuff. So you can go to my website at branhamel.com, come to my website, scroll down just a touch and click this big button. And as I said, we can go through everything in relating to your marketing for absolute no cost, no obligation, no selling, no nothing. It's just that we have a good conversation. I can go through your Google Ads, your Facebook, your email automation sequence, your overall strategy, poke holes in it, show you where you can improve, and you can go off and do that yourself. And the other reason, goes without saying why I do offer it. Sometimes when I have these conversations, I end up working with the person, which is really good as well, because I get to help them. But that's only if they see that I'm a good fit for them. So overall, it's hugely beneficial conversation, because I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm just trying to help you, and I really hope you do that, because I really do enjoy every single one. To be fair, I could talk about it all day, because I really do enjoy it. So with that being said, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and I have my fingers crossed that perhaps you and I will speak one day about your business or your startup or what have you. So until next time, have a good day.